Morning all, shall we start? Good morning. Thank you so much. Excellencies, Her Excellency the EU Ambassador, department heads, representatives of industry, distinguished guests, virtual participants, media houses present in this place, all protocol observed. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. May I extend a warm welcome to you all and welcome you to this beautiful event, a historic one where we're going to be sharing knowledge and coming up with solutions for the transformation of the energy sector in Eswatini. We will be doing this in order to improve our generation capacity as a country and to ensure that we meet the country's NDC goals for 2030, as well as the carbon neutral economy targets for 2050 for Eswatini. Over the years, we have seen that climate change is really affecting all sectors in this country in a devastating manner. We've had impacts ranging from cyclones, droughts, infrastructure damage, diseases, and there's been cumulative impacts which have affected other sectors. There's been issues with food security, water shortage, and many more. And hence, the topic of climate change and energy security in this country should no longer be a subject that is not, that is ignored. It should be something that is discussed in boardrooms, by policymakers, in schools, at homes, because we can see we are all being affected socially, economically, and even environmentally. It is so happening that now there is COP27 in Egypt, and the issues of climate change are being discussed. Climate change is a crisis, and it's something which requires urgent attention by all of us. We shouldn't be developing plans. We should be seen to be acting now. Otherwise, we shall perish. So the best thing for us to do now is to take action and do something. Engage everyone and let the climate change and energy issues be part of our daily agenda in all sectors of the society. So indeed, as a country, we need to make an urgent transformation or transition from in this energy sector and try and move, scale up renewables and move to a carbon neutral economy. I am honored today to be your program director. My name is Constance van Zeydam. I come from the Renewable Energy Association of Eswatini. And at this point, I'd like us to appreciate the EU, GIZ, for supporting this platform. I think it's first of its kind in this country. Can we give them a round of applause? Yes, and then this event has been organized by ARE, and it's been co-organized by the Renewable Energy Association of Eswatini, where I come from, as well as Business Eswatini. So you are expected today to engage actively. We really need to transform the energy sector in Eswatini. My role is a very simple one. What I do, I just introduce speakers, keep time, and all of you, you need to do one great thing. Make sure that when we come out of this place, you have interacted, you've networked, and we go out there and we start actioning and not be making those proposals and plans which end up not being implemented. At this point in time, because we in this room, there's 100 of us, in case there's an emergency, may I request the hotel to come and tell us as to what is it that we need to do in case of an emergency in this place. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All protocols are observed. My name is Ntokozo Dlamini, Safety and Security Manager in the hotel. My role is to share with you our safety and security briefing while you are here. Okay, I will start with fire prevention. The hotel complies with the requirement of all local fire safety laws. So, in the event of any emergency, where you'll be required to evacuate, please note, a message will be made through our public address system. So here we've got speakers. In case of emergency, the PA will communicate, instructing everyone to evacuate. The fire alarm system includes automatic detection and audible alarms in the public areas, guest and bedrooms, but I address this area as a public space. Emergency escape signage is in place, so we have these doors. That's where we'll walk out through. Internal exit has crash bars, so we've got doors where you just crash and push it out so that you enter the staircases down to your safe areas. Emergency light is in place, so even in case we lose power, our lights will keep on giving light. So they are emergency lights. We have got trained fire team who will come and assist in every space in case of an emergency. So this area where we are, we call it a premium area, so it is on the first floor. So therefore, the nearest emergency escape staircases, one is next to the lift, and the other one is at the middle of the passage, just across. There are signs that can show everyone to avoid stampede, so you can use either. You are kindly requested not to run when evacuating to avoid stampede, so you walk firm but in a manner of evacuating. So the assembly point is located across the parking. There are signs that will direct you straight to the assembly point, and the fire marshal will respond promptly to assist everyone when evacuating. We also not ignore that worldwide we experience active attack situations, or we call it active shooting. We have areas where you can hide in case of such an incident, and we have all the parameters to save people, to make safe in case of such a situation. But we have got trained teams, and the police is just across. They are oriented about our environment, just to make sure people are safe, even in whatever situation we can face. Okay, we have got bathrooms. They are just across the passage. They are accessible. If there is a overflow, we can use the same at the ground floor. You are permitted to go down and use that facility. And our smoking zone is outside. You can walk out at the front of the building. Lastly, our hotel is covered with CCTV cameras, and we have got a controller 24/7, but it is not covering within the space because it's a private venue. But outside, in all corners, we are covered to monitor any threat or anything that can disturb any business you can have here. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. At least now we know where to go in case of fire, no running, and we know where the bathrooms are located in this floor. At this point in time, may I make just one housekeeping rule? Can we please keep our phones on silent and ensure that they are kept like that throughout the session? May I request the speakers who are supposed to make a keynote address to come and occupy this front row. Yes. Mzwandile Twala. Okay, yes. Thomas. Camille. Yes. Thank you so much. I think so that we do not waste time, we are so much pressed for time. Great presenters and speakers, moderators, we shall make sure that we keep time so that we don't come out of this place after 12. We shall make sure that by 4:30 we are done. At this point in time, can I hand over to Camille to make the first keynote address? Over to you.
Hello. Hello, dear ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. My name is Julia van Frans, Policy and Advocacy Officer, speaking on behalf of Camille André Bataille, board member of the Alliance for Rural Electrification. Unfortunately, she could not join us today because of flight strikes, so I will be speaking on her behalf. So the Alliance for Rural Electrification, or ARE, is the #1 global association for the decentralized renewable energy industry, aiming to advance rural electrification. ARE pursues a set of ambitious goals in line with its mission to advance energy access around the world, with a focus on Africa, Asia, and Latin America and the Caribbean, working on a country level as well as regional. As part of its commitment, ARE has pledged to deliver sustainable electricity services to at least 500 million additional people in the 3 above-mentioned focus area regions, to enable the private sector to catalyze the creation of at least 5 million green jobs, and to enable the private sector to avoid more than 1 billion tons of CO2 emissions by 2030. To further advance towards the SDGs and reach them by 2030, annual investments to support DRE need to increase more than 3-fold, and the X factor in reaching theoretical scale is the private sector. As organizers of the EU Green Power Transformation Forum workshop, ARE is very happy to welcome you all today. I extend a very warm thank you to Business Eswatini and the Renewable Energy Association of Eswatini for the partnership for this event. I would also especially like to thank the European Union delegation to the Kingdom of Eswatini, GET.invest and GET.transform that made this day possible. The event, which is hosted in the context of the launch of the EU Green Power Transformation Forum, launching a country window of GET.invest, GET.transform and Electrify, supported by the European Union, Germany, Sweden, the Netherlands and Austria, amongst others. During this hybrid workshop today, public and private sector representatives will address the different angles of the green power transformation in Eswatini. To enable business partnerships and knowledge sharing, to catalyse investments and power sector reform to support the energy transition in Eswatini. After some interventions setting the scene of the situation in Eswatini, the workshop will address the roles the different actors of the renewable energy sector can play to make the transition happen. Another key component for the successful transition is reaching bankability and access to finance in the country. This will be addressed during the second roundtable. A panel discussion will then be held where we address the skilled job force for the Eswatini renewable energy sector. The government of Eswatini is committed to achieve universal energy access by 2030, up from its 82% today, with 72% in rural areas. The country is also committed to have 50% of renewable energies in its energy mix by 2030 and increase its energy independence, and has already implemented a variety of projects across several technologies in the country, from solar to biomass to hydro. As we all know, energy access leads to economic growth, and the private sector can play a pivotal role here. To be able to do so, access to finance for the private sector and bankability is key. The transition is also important for green job creation, an aspect ARE is also working on in one of our projects with the aim of creating a global standard for calculating green job creation. In this context, the importance for a skilled workforce is apparent and can be driven through well-constructed technical and vocational training for youth, but also for experienced professionals transitioning to clean energies. ARE addresses this in its core initiative on training of trainers. ARE is excited to have launched a country window in Eswatini now and is happy to collaborate with the private sector in the country and region on all the above mentioned aspects. That is where ARE can play a role. Federating around 200 member companies and stakeholders, ARE works along the entire decentralized renewable energy value chain, from standalone systems to mini-grids, to connect people and businesses to energy and sustainable economic opportunities. We invite everyone in Eswatini and the region who is not yet a member to join us. With no further ado, and on behalf of the entire Alliance, I'm delighted to welcome you all to this important dialogue on Eswatini's great green transformation today. Thank you. Constance, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Julia, on behalf of Camelia. At this point, can we request Thomas, who's the country director for GIZ, to come up and make his remarks. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. A very good morning. I gave a speech already yesterday, so I don't want to repeat the same one today. I hope at least a lot of people who were in the room today were there yesterday, so I will be brief in my remarks. First of all, thank you very much to the organizers for organizing the event today. I think which is already the kickstarting moment from the launch we had yesterday, and I'm impressed. I was impressed by the presentation and also the participation already yesterday. But this room is even fuller than it was yesterday, and I congratulate the organizers, the European Union, for organizing the event, and it really shows the interest in the topic in Eswatini. And we as GIZ are proud to be part of that country window and of that program that is financed by the European Union and co-financed by the German government. Yesterday I also already said that we are also impressed by the activities that have already started, the trainings that have already taken place, and the interest that was shown in those activities already on starting on both sides, no? Both working on the transformation, working on capacity building activities, working on the legal frameworks, getting the information that is necessary to formulate then the concrete activities that have to take place in the transition process and the expansion of renewable energies. And I think what we have here now as program, as GIZ, together with the partners, with the two tools of GET.transform and GET.pro, to work both on both sides actually of the medal, work on the capacities and the legal frameworks and the policies that are needed to boost the renewable energy production, And also on the other side, also being able to work on the investment side with GET.invest. And I think that's a unique possibility, that's a unique chance, and we are happy to support those two instruments in Eswatini together with you over the next years. I think, as I said, I want to be very short. I think what the program also shows and where it really hints to are three important topics that we as public institutions and implementing agencies and partners and private sector have to focus on. One is that public policy creates innovation and creates a framework for progress. And this public policies, the impact of public policies, of investment, of the frameworks, of policies, of also providing risk capital to some extent, is important for the private sector to develop. And this private sector, private-public partnership element, I think, in this program is really very important. And we have seen that in the past already in topics like vaccine production. I mean, that the world could come up with vaccines in such a short time against COVID is also a product of a lot of investment from governments, of public policies from governments, and then private sector coming in and producing what has to be produced. And that leads to the other topic, which I think is important, that we, in the energy sector, it's very obvious that we come from a concept of shareholder value to a concept of stakeholder value. That what we produce and the profits that are made in the private sector are contributing to a larger good, which is a public good and public benefit. And the last point, which is true, very much true, and was mentioned by Julia just now, is that whatever we do in energy is producing sustainable development, is contributing to sustainable development, and is creating jobs. So that's, I think, very important. If you have high unemployment rates in the country, that the transition from the traditional energy production to the new and clean energy production has an impact on job creation and income for the people of a country. And that's very important for Eswatini. It's very important in South Africa. It's a pivotal discussion we have at the moment there. And I congratulate us all, but the organizers, to tackle those issues over the next years and support the energy transition in Eswatini. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Thomas, for the wonderful tool that you are bringing, the GET.invest and GET.transform. Let me not waste time. Shall we invite Mr. Mgomitulu Dumsani from the Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy to make remarks on behalf of the Energy Director. Thank you.
Siyabonga, Program Director. A very good morning to everyone. Let me say from the onset that I observe protocol. I'm pleased to be part of this gathering that is deliberating on catalyzing investments and power sector reform to support the energy transition in Eswatini. As the Ministry responsible for energy, we would like to take this opportunity to thank the European Union, in particular the governments of Germany, Sweden, the Netherlands, and Austria for their support through the GET.transform initiative that is being implemented by GIZ. We have no doubt that the project, which seeks to assist the country to advance its power sector transformation, will be a success. This confidence is derived from the fact that over and above assisting the public sector, the project also seeks to assist in fostering engagements between the public and private sector in order to ensure that all stakeholders have the opportunity to make meaningful input towards the transformation of the energy sector. As the country moves towards universal access to energy by 2030, it is equally important to prioritize increasing the local electricity generation. The government cannot shoulder the sole responsibility to advance this cause, and as such, it is crucial to leverage on the private sector investment and expertise in order to achieve the set targets. The government, through legislative reforms, has already made some strides in ensuring that the private sector adequately participates in electricity supply industry space. For starters, the energy regulator has issued a number of exemptions to companies which have expressed interest in setting up their own generation capacities in order to meet their demands. Cognizant of the country's inadequate local generation, the regulator is also working on finalizing the regulatory framework that will govern small-scale embedded generation as well as electricity wheeling. I trust that Sarah will unpack the two pieces of regulatory framework in more detail for the benefit of all who are here present. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry believes that today's gathering is one of the many that will follow, where the public and the private sector will seek to work together in order to ensure that the sector deals with the challenges that affect the power sector performance, so as to ensure that the proper reforms and regulations are deployed. This will ensure that new players and technologies are adequately accommodated in a well-considered and strategic manner. This project aligns well with the country's targets for renewable energy and the expectation that renewable energy technologies, including renewables-based off-grid solutions, will contribute to the goal to achieve universal energy access by 2030. The project will also assist the country to achieve the targets that are outlined in the country's national determined contributions, which seeks to ensure a 50% generation from renewable energy in the total electricity mix by 2030 relative to 2010 levels. Over and above the planned projects that will assist the country to add more installed renewable-based generation capacity, it is also key to remember that in as much as the country can wish to set higher renewable energy targets, such targets cannot be based on mere wishes, but rather on obtaining tangible data on potential generation capacities from these technologies, as well as the necessary economic data and information that will assist in determining the viability of developing these projects. For this to be achieved, more financial resources are required in order to conduct the necessary studies. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no doubt that a well-managed renewable energy-based economy can be achieved through the proper understanding of the country's unique electricity supply sector and subsequent identification of suitable solutions that are tailor-made and fit for purpose. I sincerely hope that the engagements between all the stakeholders will also delve into how Eswatini can satisfy its base load power when taking into consideration the fact that most of the available renewable energy resources may not be able to provide this without having a negative impact on the affordability of the electricity. The Ministry notes that a wide range of stakeholders are represented here, and as such, we have no doubt that today's deliberation will lay a fertile ground to enable the much-needed just energy transition. May I therefore take this opportunity to wish all of us fruitful deliberation. With those few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, may I take this opportunity to thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mngomezulu, for those remarks. Indeed, we cannot do the transition in operating in silos. we can only achieve that if we work together. At this point in time, I shall request the representative of the EU ambassador of Eswatini to come and make remarks. Thank you.
Good morning. Dear ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I'm here delivering these remarks on behalf of our ambassador for the European Union to the Kingdom of Eswatini. So it is my pleasure to join you today for the launch of the European Union Green Power Transformation Forum that is jointly organized by the European Union, the government of Eswatini, Business Eswatini, the Renewable Energy Association of Eswatini, GIZ. In 2018, when we started the preliminary studies for this program, we were far of imagining that the energy will be so much, this topic will be so much under the spotlights as it is today. Nevertheless, already in 2018, the European Union was sure that clean, green, sustainable, reliable, resilient, and stable energy sources were fundamental for sustainable and inclusive economic growth and creation of jobs, besides reducing the greenhouse gas emissions that contribute to climate change and global warming. This is also the opinion of the European citizens, as it shows from the Eurobarometer that was conducted in May and June of this year, where almost 9 out of 10 respondents agree that the green transition should not leave anyone behind. Moreover, even if half of the Europeans agree that the European Union is doing enough to ensure that the green transition is fair, most feel a personal responsibility to act to limit climate change and agree that they should personally do more than what they are doing to contribute, regardless of others do. So it is clear that the European Union is already putting forward a series of actions for a fair green transition and will continue to put people at the center of policy efforts. Nevertheless, we need a common effort to achieve a green transition that works for all, including in our partner countries like the Kingdom of Eswatini. For this reason, in November 2020, the European Union and the government of Eswatini signed a financing agreement with the main objective was to promote increased investments in renewable energy and energy efficiency projects in support of key value chains, ultimately benefiting smallholder farmers, women, youth, and people living in vulnerable situations. The key value chains under these actions are the ones more important for rural development and trade under the SADC European Union Economic Partnership Agreement, as well as their potential for sustainable and inclusive growth and job creation. These value chains are not limited to the agricultural sector, but also the commercial and industrial sectors. It is important to underscore that investments are expected to ultimately benefit the identified value chains and can be directed towards a wide range of private sector businesses. For example, an engineering, procurement, and construction company offering solar solutions, solar farms, or independent power producers. The EU Green Power Transformation Forum marks the official launch of a true Team Europe initiative in such a critical sector as renewable energy. In order to achieve the challenging objectives of this agreement, we are collaborating with 2 member state organizations, GIZ and EDFI. The EU delegation and GIZ signed an agreement that will bring to Eswatini the more than 50 years of experience in development cooperation of GIZ, working with both public and private sectors to support energy transition in Eswatini. I must highlight also that this agreement has a direct contribution from our member state, Germany, through the Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development. On the other hand, EDFI, its abbreviation of European Development Finance Institutions, represents 15 European bilateral development finance institutions that invest in private sector in emerging and frontier markets to create jobs, boost growth, and fight poverty and climate change. Through this program, the EU delegation is bringing to Eswatini EDFI's Electrify initiative. Electrification financing initiative offers a global reach as well as a tailor-made approach for increasing access to clean energy in developing countries. Electrify invests where others cannot, investing in early-stage private companies and projects, generating new improved electricity connections or generation capacity for sustainable energy sources in emerging markets. In a true Team Europe approach, GIZ will also support in developing a pipeline for this initiative. The EU delegation, together with the Alliance for Rural Electrification, GIZ, Business Eswatini, and Renewable Energy Association of Eswatini, organized a full workshop that we believe will be the starting point for a new era in renewable energy in the country. The day will start with presentations on the basics of renewable energy, the legal and policy frameworks in Eswatini, the 2050 Energy Master Plan, and the existing and planned embedded generation approval process. After, we will have a roundtable on what roles should public and private stakeholders play in the renewable energy sector and how should they work together. I've already mentioned many times in my speech that real power transformation comes only with true team effort. In the afternoon, we will start with reaching bankability and accessing finance in Eswatini in the renewable energy sector. The last session of the day, and in the opinion of many, the most important, will discuss about supporting a skilled job force for the Eswatini renewable energy sector. It will look into the skills needed for the energy transition to be successful and find ways to answer to a potential skills gap in the country and region. During this session, myself, representing the EU delegation, will also present how important skills development will be in the partnership between the EU and Eswatini in the next years. After this day, hopefully, all the key drivers for a good business environment in the renewable energy sector will be discussed. I must thank everyone in the government of Eswatini, public sector, private sector, academia, international partners that agreed in moderating, contribute, and participate in the workshop of today. I can already announce that for 2023, we are planning more workshops where we aim to further explore the subjects in today's workshop. With these few remarks, I would like to thank you all for your presence here, and I look forward for a very productive day. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, EU, for those remarks. We thank you for the support and to assist us even in coming up with this event. Thank you for the technical support and the catalyzing of the investments so that we can make the green transition. Can we take this opportunity to give them a round of applause as they take their seats? Thank you so much for those welcome remarks. Okay, can we encourage them? And meanwhile, can the five speakers who will be doing the setting of the scene come and occupy the front row?